everybody, this is Naya from DoSpace, and this is the final part of History of Windows. So let's get started. And so we start off with Windows XP, which was released in 2001. Codename Whistler, XP was the Microsoft's messiah in the unification of their business and consumer OS products. Until now, NT had been running very successfully alongside since 1994 and had been the company's answer when the OS/2 project with IBM had fallen out. The problem was that NT's increasingly complex structure had become harder and harder for developers to write for, and eventually they stopped bothering with it as it was for a relative small percentage of the market. Seeing as operating systems with no drivers aren't of much use, the new approach of one OS with several variants was added, which is why we got Windows XP Home Edition and Windows XP Professional. XP inherited the NT 5.2 kernel at its core, and after several service updates became not only secure and stable, but the longest running lasting Windows, selling from 2001 to 2007. So essentially this was the PlayStation 2 of operating systems. Now going into Windows Vista. Windows Vista offered an advancement in reliability, security, ease of deployment, performance, and manageability over Windows XP. The new in this version was capabilities to detect hardware problems before they occur, security features for products to protect against the latest generation of threats, i.e. viruses, faster startup time, and lower power consumption of the new sleep state. In many cases, Windows Vista was more noticeably responsive than Windows XP on identical hardware. Windows XP simplifies and centralizes desktop configuration and reducing the cost of keeping systems updated. However, just like Windows ME, it suffered from the same fate. So that is why people went back to Windows XP. And now Windows 7. Curiously, the 8th consumer release of Windows OS 7 is in fact very similar to its predecessor Vista, but with just enough refinements and some time to get used to the AERO GUI, which means it learned its lessons from Vista and implemented that into their system with a little bit of XP. It was codenamed both Blackcomb and Vienna. It had none of the user account issues of Vista, and predominantly came in both 32-bit and 64-bit versions. It had significantly faster booting time, better power management options for notebook users, and also featured multi-touch, which was around the time that the iPad came out. And now in 2012, Windows came out. It was introduced only a short few years after the release of 7, and it brought a number of new graphical and inner user face changes. This new Windows version had focused on touchscreen devices and was designed to that end with a new user interface that left many confused and frustrated. Also, at this time, this was when touchscreens were starting to come into their own, so that's understandable. This feeling led to many mixed reviews, but everybody thought that Windows 8 was fairly great. It felt like a more substantial upgrade to 7, and it had many excellent features that included improved load times. Apps were also a big deal in this operating system, and Microsoft was keen to push the Windows Store for downloading them as well as purchasing software. Despite the complaints about Windows 8 being confusing, over 60 million copies had sold by January 2013. And a year later, Microsoft launched Windows 8.1. This was a free upgrade for Windows 8 users that was intended to fix many of the problems that people were complaining about at the time. This involved tweaks to the user interface, most importantly, the return of the classic start button, which is understandable. Other improvements include the enhancement of various available apps, changes to the start screen, and a variety of improvements to usability and overall design. Windows 8 was received with much more praise and generally most liked. It was also slimmed down to a point, allowing Windows to be installed on computers with lower specs, including little as 1 gigabyte of RAM and 16 gigabytes of hard drive space, where at this time these were referred to as netbooks, and would be kind of seen as the prototype for the Chromebooks that we see today. And also it's glad that they had returned the start button, and maybe Apple will take a hint with the next phone. And now the current system that we are using, Windows 10. It came in the hazy days of 2015. This version was, at the time, a free upgrade for all Windows 7, 8, and 8.1 users, and as such was a sensible choice for almost everyone. Whereas Windows 8 put its focus on the tablet touch interface experience, Windows 10 put desktop at the center stage again. Windows 10 essentially restored the tired and chested design of the operating system while breathing new life with a fresh, clean, and modern design. Other big changes in Windows 10 included the support of universal apps. This would allow applications to run multiple devices, including PCs, tablets, and phones, etc. Mixed reality headsets, and of course, Xbox One. Support for both fingerprint and face recognition logins also appeared, making it much more user-friendly experience on tablets and mobile devices. And now for the future. With Windows 10, Microsoft had changed the way the operating system got its updates. So much so that patches, drivers, and more downloaded and installed automatically without the need for users to be involved. Regular feature updates from the company mean that the operating system is continually improving too, from its humble beginnings back in 1981 to today. What will the future hold for Windows? Only time and evolving technology will tell. And that is my presentation. Thank you for listening. You will find this presentation on our website, dospace.org, or on our YouTube page. Again, this is Nia from DoSpace, and have a nice day.